Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Life Coach Code. Into this exciting episode, we're going to talk about something that I think every person should develop in themselves. I think everybody has this potential within them. We just don't work on it and it remains dormant. We're going to focus more on the mind. And in today's episode, we have actually a special guest. Her name is Roxana Radulescu. She is an expert in helping business owners and entrepreneurs become better leaders and take their business on another level. She helps her clients discover their superpowers and use them to the full potential. In other words, she helps them to build learning and leading habits that they can maintain and grow on their own. Her coaching motto is that everything is personal, nothing is just business. And I really love this motto. It resonates so much with what we share on our podcast. So hello, Roxana. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, and thank you for having me. So great to be here.
It's an honor to have you, and such an expert leadership, already a writer and an author on our website. And to be honest, I'm learning so much from your articles personally, because personally for me, like I always saw leadership like in a strange concept, even way before I started my own business. I always thought about the relationship between employees and the CEOs to be some kind of strange, difficult, complicated. Like the CEO is always telling the employees what they should do and they need to follow so they don't get fired. But as I started my business, I realized that leadership is something completely different. The employees are actually inspired to follow it. They're not scared. They're not coming from fear. They're coming actually from inspiration and love. So I want to ask you, like the first question for you to tell in your own words, what is leadership?
Wow, I love this question. And so the short answer to that is leadership is legacy. Leadership is what you leave behind that people can benefit from, even when you're not there, or maybe especially when you're not there. This is when you know that you have a great leader, you look at what happens in their absence and how things are going and how things are working and how people are working. And if they work well, then you know that that's a great leadership model. If they get stuck and nothing works, then you know that there's some work that needs to happen there. But I loved what you said about the dormant part of it, because I always look at leadership as a skill muscle. And the reason I say that is because I believe that everybody is a leader in their own way. And then the more they practice that, the better they feel and the better they become at leading. Because we have different styles of leading, and it's not, oh, one style is good and the other style is bad. We will have different styles of leading depending on the situations that we're in. But so knowing what your skills muscles are that you can benefit from in one situation or another, that talks about the kind of leadership that you have. I've seen people that are leaders regardless of their role in an organization. That's why I don't believe leadership is about hierarchy at all, because you have people who are leaders even at a more junior level in the organization. And then you have people who are supposed to be leaders because of the job title, but they're not. So it does not have to do with hierarchy at all. It has to do with legacy. So it is all personal, because it's all about how we manage ourselves and how we manage our relationships with others.
Beautifully said. I love what you said, that it doesn't depend on hierarchy. It doesn't depend on where you are, what's your position, what's your role, so to say, in some company. It's something that's personal, something that you should work on yourself. And when you work on this, as you said, I love that you become a better version of yourself, because your leadership skills are your natural dormant skills that you should work on. And as you work on them, you are developing yourself in who you were meant to be, so to say. So how does a great leader look like for you? Like, what are their characteristics, traits? Maybe you have an idol in the world, celebrity you can share.
A celebrity that I love, and I think that's a good leadership model is Sir Richard Branson. I work with a lot of, and I look at the story behind the person, that he's very personable, and he's always been, and he's went through some difficulties as well, and he created an empire.
Yeah.
The way that he thinks about it is, and I love this quote, and I always use it whenever I work with, I do a lot of work with mid to senior managers and also with small business CEOs to help them build these leadership muscles and become dream bosses and build dream teams. And a lot of the time, of course, we all want great results. We all want our clients to be happy. But the quote I love from Sir Richard Branson is, your clients don't come first. Your people come first, because if your people are happy, your clients will be happy. And especially in today's world, I think this is absolutely more than true. It has to be a habit. It has to be the norm, because if we're not going to care about the people, then that actually has such a big impact on the results of the business, on the numbers. You don't care about what happens to the people. You don't care about finding out what impact they're making, what strengths they have, what helps them feel motivated and engaged and really feel included and include them in the conversation. The less we care about that, the less the results we're going to see, the results that we're expecting. And it comes down to from hiring to firing people, from hiring to retaining people. It all comes down to that. And then what happens the minute that you don't care about your people and they start leaving because they have options, that also has an impact on how your clients perceive you, because it's a small world and the market is volatile and we're all working in this digital age. So when we look at leaders, they're not the all-powerful encyclopedia kind of leader that works very well in the industrial age. It's impossible to have that same model in the digital age. A leader has to, first of all, sorry, my voice, whenever I talk about it, it's like, I get so passionate about it. But a good leader starts with educating themselves first. That's why I say, first thing you do, develop your emotional intelligence, because that helps you be flexible. That helps you understand how you can care about your people and how you can implement some processes in place that actually serve the people. And if they serve the people, they serve the organization and they serve your clients. When we talk about leadership right now, it's not about the leader who's isolated at the top anymore. It's the leader who knows how to communicate, who knows how to leverage that power of the team. And we're interconnected, and that's what a great leader in today's world understands well. The way I work is not isolated. I'm not on an island. Like your background. I'm not, because we're interconnected. And if I hire you because you're an expert in something and because you can provide value in that particular field, then I need to work with you on that. I'm not supposed to have all the answers anymore. I'm going to ask you about this. I'm going to ask you about that. I'm going to get that team engaged and included in these conversations. And that's what boosts the motivation levels and the results ultimately.
Yeah, so you would say that the people skills are the crucial in leadership. People skills, emotional intelligence, and
emotional intelligence, people skills, and that comes with, they're not soft skills anymore. They're essential skills. I mean, again, the term soft skills was also invented in the industrial age, right? When we were working in factories, or most of us were working in factories, which is not the case anymore. With the kind of the today's worker is a knowledge worker, most of all, or the majority of us. So if you're gonna have the same approach that you used to have with a factory worker, it's not gonna work.
Yep.
Because it's a different situation. So that's where flexibility comes in.
Yeah.
That's why flexibility is such a hot topic right now, because you have to be able to see the change and adapt to change.
Exactly. And I believe that even though the world evolved and leadership evolved with it, I think that leadership is just becoming more and more of what it really is. Like many people before, like you say in the industrial age, they were leaders just because they had the position of a leader. And they had certain skills around it. We cannot neglect those skills that were crucial for leading big companies, and they were successful. But the core of leadership is something else, something that no matter how much the world changes, how much it evolves, it will just maintain this, it will be the same, and it will just flourish into whatever change the world has. And like, can you imagine a big company that is led by somebody who is not a leader? What will be the fate of such company, of a person who has like low leadership skills, who is not working on those skills?
Well, it's easy. It's either people leave or you end up leaving.
Mm.
It's one of the two usually, and that's why we know people don't leave the job, they don't leave the company, they leave the leader or the manager all the time. And that's what I've seen happening, and I'm sure you've seen that happening as well, because we don't. And on this point as well, there are people who are going to perceive people who are more authoritarian, let's say, as leaders, and they're going to resonate with them. So they're going to follow them wherever they go. And there are people who are not going to resonate with that more. And I see that more and more, especially with the new generations. I work a lot with millennials. I know about Gen Z because I have 2 Gen Zs at home. And they don't like this kind of leadership. So they're not going to resonate with that, and they're not going to follow you. I think that what makes you a leader is if people want to follow you. Can you really be a leader without any followers? I don't think so. If at least you choose to follow yourself, that's fine. But if anyone else is willing to follow you wherever you go because they resonate with you on that level, then that's fine. But what I'm seeing with that old kind of leadership that is my way or the highway, people are going to choose the highway because the highway isn't empty anymore. I actually have so many options, and I'm sure I will find the best option for myself.
Exactly. That's the change that we speak about the world. It has a lot more opportunities now, and people have a lot more access to information, and they know what's right, what's not right. Like they have options. So let's start with like the principles of leadership. Let's start with the first one. That's, I think we always start with this one, no matter what we talk about, leadership, business, or even relationships. We always start with vision, right? We always need to have a vision of our life, where we are going, or if we are entrepreneur, with where our startup is going, where our business is going. If we don't have a vision, we actually don't have a direction to lead anybody anywhere, right? So can you expand a little bit about this first principle?
So it all starts with vision, and that's such an important piece. And that's where I also see a lot of, especially new leaders or people who want to change the kind of leadership in their organization, or they want to be a different kind of leader, and they don't know where to start. And that's where you start. You start with the vision. What do you see? What do you see for yourself? What do you see for your team, for your business, for even if you operate in a larger organization? And that's where I see a lot of new leaders who operate in corporations who think they don't have much room to move and lead differently. Well, they actually do, but you need to have that vision. You need to know where you want to go, because that is going to give you the direction. It's like it's the GPS, right? If I don't know the destination, my GPS is not going to take me anywhere unless I put that destination. And then it shows me maybe different routes for me to get there. And then I get to choose the way. But I need to know the destination.
Beautiful.
That's the first one.
Love this. Yeah, I love this simple metaphor that you said, like with the GPS. It's exactly like that. You have a GPS mechanism in yourself, and you are not giving it a direction, so you don't know where you go. And if you don't know where you go, who will follow you, right? Nobody
Yeah.
can follow you. And I believe vision gives you that first essence of leadership. Like if you have a vision, and if you, like you said, start following yourself, your vision, eventually people will see the same vision, or they will start following you and start seeing glimpses of your vision, and if they resonate with it, they will keep following you. But there is also something else that should keep them, that should communicate with them your vision, and that's, like we said, the second principle, communication, why it's so important.
Mhm.
So can you please expand on that? Like communication is a big one. I think we should have like a separate episode on communication, but let's just like keep the fundamentals for now.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And that's why the reason I laugh is because I do a lot of team workshops and leadership coaching, and it all comes down to communication. They all say, oh, we need to improve communication. And what I find is communication is so broad. And whenever we talk about communication, we can refer to different kinds of things. And there can be different kinds of issues. So that's why, first of all, align with your vision, because with your vision come all of the values and beliefs. And then, if you're all aligned, you're moving in the same direction. If you're not, at least from the beginning, and then you go your way, I go my way, no harm done. We can collaborate maybe some other time. But when it comes to communication, what I usually find is with communication, things are easy. We talk about sending our message to someone else. So I think about something, I have a thought, which I need to express. So I encode that thought, and I use language and expressions and everything to send my message, because nobody can read my mind, right? Maybe that's one important step. Understand that people don't read minds.
Exactly.
Right? So it's my responsibility to be able to send my message across the way that I would like you to receive it. But then you, as the receiver, you're gonna listen to my message and you're gonna decode it. In other words, you're gonna interpret it based on your past experiences, your values, your beliefs, and everything else that comes underneath the surface. And these are two crucial points: expressing ourselves and listening to what the other person is saying to us. But communication doesn't stop there, because if I express myself and you just listen and that's it, we're basically in parallel streams like that. We don't meet. I keep talking, you keep listening, nothing happens. What needs to happen, and that's where people get stuck, and especially in teams, that happens all the time, is where I don't hear any feedback. So the listener has to give some feedback to close the loop and say, so here's what I heard that you said. From what you said, I understood this. Do I get it right that you meant that? It's that piece and that's the feedback, right? So I have the speaking skills, I have the listening skills, and I have the feedback so that I can close the loop. Because with that, I can then say, oh, no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was this. And then we clarify. If we spend more time clarifying rather than assuming, a lot of the communication breakdowns would just disappear. And a lot of those conflicts that we have wouldn't even be an issue, because that's where conflict starts. It becomes an issue when I assume that you meant this, but I don't check with you. I don't close that feedback loop. And then I start doing the work. And then I send it back to you and you say, oh no, but that's not what I needed. And I'm like, but you told me, that's what you told me in the meeting. And you're going to respond to that and say, no, that's not what I meant. So that's a lot of time wasted, which goes back to a lot of money wasted in some cases, right? So again, business results, which happen or don't happen because of how people communicate.
Exactly. And I think that if we just like define certain topics or certain words, for example, an emotion is not the same for me that's for you. And if I just define what I mean when I say this is urgent or this is like I'm anxious, for some person is okay, I'm anxious, I can do it, but for another person is like I'm anxious, I'm literally like stuck, I cannot go further. And these definitions are important because we are always communicating in our, like we are sharing our own world with another person, and we believe, we assume that they understand the same concepts in the same way as we do, but that's not true like 90% of the time. And I believe like we can take this even to the biggest level. Like most world conflicts are just because of this, because we don't have clear definitions to many words that we're talking about every day. And
Exactly.
people come in conflict, like you said, like I told you, no you didn't, and like they're both right in their own reality, but like in the real reality there is a conflict because there was miscommunication. And that's that's a crucial point in communication, that we should define the things that we are communicating, we are trying to communicate, and as you said, get a feedback and then work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Feedback is crucial. And I find that a lot of people cringe when they hear the word feedback, because we're used to hearing it only in performance reviews kind of context. And it's not that. Feedback has to be there all the time. It has to be regular and it has to be on time. And that is what allows us to create the culture, because the culture is this pillar of the way that I look at culture is how we do things around here. That's the culture, and it's all in the how. And if you and I don't agree on this, then we're not, it's hard. It's going to be super hard to agree on how we're going to get there, because we're going to constantly be fighting around, no, I'm going to do it my way or my way. And feedback helps understand what works for me in my working relationship with you and what doesn't, and what I'd like to change. It's all about habits that we want to keep and habits that we want to change and create something better, because they don't work. It doesn't work for me. So let's see what could we change so that we can work better together. And then have that kind of agreement. It's not, we need to agree on, okay, so now we're gonna take a left or we're gonna take the right. If I'm gonna go left and you're gonna go right, then we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, and as you said, like leadership is not like my way or the highway. It's we agree. There's this, like we need to agree both. If you are gonna follow me and I'm the leader, we're gonna agree both. It doesn't matter who's what.
Yeah.
You need to come to
and as a leader, you have to you can't really lead if you don't know how to follow. And if you don't know how it feels to follow, how it feels to trust others, that they will take you there. You cannot really, I love, and this is what Brené Brown also says this in her vulnerability talk. You cannot give from what you yourself are not able to receive. You cannot give, and that goes back to, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So you don't have that, you can't offer it. So you can't lead unless you also understand how to follow and when to follow, because it's not, again, your role as a leader is, yes, you set the vision, you communicate, and then who's going to drive you there is going to depend on the vehicle, right? If you're going to drive or fly or go by boat, you're going to have people on the team who can drive or fly a plane or, you know, sail a boat. And you are going to have to follow them because they can. They're the ones who can take you there on the other side, not you. You don't want to pilot. You don't want to be a pilot if you never learn how to fly a plane, right? Exactly. I mean, that's easy, right?
Yeah, I love this. And it really comes to a conclusion like how vision and communication come together. And that's why we chose those two principles for the first part. In the second part, we're going to talk about the other three. Can you name them?
So in the communication bit, because we mentioned listening, and we mentioned feedback, and we mentioned giving feedback. So we're going to talk about how you can receive feedback effectively, because if you receive feedback and you don't do anything with it, nothing happens. And we're also going to talk about some public speaking skills, which happens in all of these life instances.
Exactly.
For instance, now the two of us do a little bit of public speaking. Leaders have to understand that they are in situations where they public speak all the time. When you have a team meeting, you're there to inspire, you're there to communicate, you're there to understand what they want and how to engage their hearts and their minds as well. So that's a public speaking instance. In talking to your clients, client meetings, speeches, negotiations, those are public speaking instances. And you have to be able to know what to do and how to prepare before that, and how to really engage people in the conversation.
Beautifully said. And let's leave something for part two to people to they can listen quickly, because I don't want to take a lot of your time. I want to be respectful to your time. Let us know something. Let us know one quote that you would want to say to the whole world about leadership.
Oh my God, I don't know. I have so many that I love, but I have one of my favorite quotes is from Maya Angelou. And it's this: people might not remember what you did. They might not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel.
Beautiful.
So I think about it. What kind of leader are you, and how do people feel in your interactions with you? Because that all comes down to building trust.
Thank you so much, Roxana. It was lovely talking to you. It was a pleasure, and can't wait to make the second episode. For you viewers, I'm going to leave to you with this, that leadership is something you all have within you, and it's a skill that you should work on, because when you work on this skill, you're becoming the best version of you that you can be. It will help you not just in your work, not just in your business, but in your relationships, in how you present yourself with your family, in almost any aspect of your life. So building your leadership skills is not something that we should leave to the business people or to the people who want to be leaders. We are all leaders in certain situations in life. And in your business, you might not be, you might be a follower, but in your family, you might be the one who is the leader. In your relationship, you might be the one. You might be the one with your friends. And if you develop this skill, you will flourish in all aspects of your life. So listen up, stay tuned. We will talk a lot more about this in second part. Again, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. Share this episode with somebody else if you think that somebody else can benefit with this. It also helps us to grow this podcast and channel and reach more people with our powerful messages. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day and see you in the next episode.
Thank you.